The voice of God walked in the garden. The voice of God walked. It didn't say that the voice of God speaks from a pulpit. It doesn't say that the voice of God is heard from a pew. It says the voice of God walked in the garden. The voice of God's children should walk in the garden. The voice of God's children should be heard in the garden. Where is my garden, you might ask? It's a bit like asking, who is my neighbour? If you live in York, your garden is your street, your city, your favourite coffee shop, the bus that you use. Your garden is all around you. God's voice walks. God's voice needs to be heard. God's voice demands a response. God's voice creates. Look at everything around you. Look at this wonderful ash tree behind me, and the sky above that, and the clouds within the sky, and everything above them that we can't see. We come back to the same place tonight. The clouds have gone. It's a black night sky. You'll see the stars. He created them. He spoke them into being. And if you were to stand on the star that's furthest away and look again, you wouldn't get to the end of all that God has made. He speaks. He walks. His voice is heard. His voice is responded to. We are created in His image and likeness. He's written His words on our heart. He teaches us those words. We should speak them to one another. We should live by those things that we speak to one another that are of God. Just as God spoke and created, it's the same for us. God knew in His mind what He wanted to make when He made it. He foreknew you, and He spoke you out. And those words travelled through space and time, took root in a womb, and out I popped in 1969. I'm not sure when you lot popped out. But for a period of 1968, I was some sort of space-time traveller. So we have to, like God, given that we're created in his likeness and his image, we go through seasons of having to reimagine, or seasons of having to dislike, in order that we can realign ourselves afresh with his word and his vision. And that's what we must do now. We must decide afresh for ourselves what my life looks like. We must decide for ourselves what our village life looks like, town, city, region, nation. And our voice must echo the word of God. Then you'll see your life, your city, your nation return to those ancient principles of righteousness and justice. But to imagine, we must have a will. And then we can speak. But the word of God is written on our hearts. And you can get to know what's written there by reading a Bible. The Bible confirms to you what's written on your heart. The Bible is alive, it's amazing. It's an amazing book. It speaks into every human situation, and it can speak into the situation of our personal lives and of our national life. And so we re-identify ourselves with the one who made us in his image and likeness, and in doing so, our nation, our families, live under his favor, his protection, his blessing.